end of a straight draw. There are two straights that will beat him even if he catches that 10. And Ted Forrest has a powerful pair of 9s right now. The only card that Chris Ferguson can win with is a 10.
Turn is an 8. No 10, but Ferguson pairs 8s.
And it's the 8 of hearts. So if Ted Forrest were going for a flush, he's made it. Chris Ferguson now has a pair of 8s, and the 10 would make him the very bottom end of that straight again. And he's going to call. Again, he's not reading Ted Forrest very well.
The river. And trip 9s for Forrest now.
85,000.
He just said 85,000. Now, if Chris Ferguson calls this, you know he is way off. He's just not giving Ted Forrest credit for any hands at all.
Chris folds.
He folds, and he saves 85,000. That's a start.
So Ted Forrest wins a rare tension-free pot. The normally reserved Ted Forrest showing all kinds of emotion in this year's event.
I don't know why. It's written in the Spooky Players Handbook. You're not supposed to show emotion.
Howard Lederer looking on, checking on his investment. He's got a sizable side bet with Doyle Brunson as to the outcome of this final match. Blinds at 10 and 20,000. Forrest with a slight lead.
Picks up a pair of 8s here, and it looks like he's going to put in a little raise. 45,000.
And via the Outback Pocket Cam, a suited 10 tray for Chris Ferguson.
It's going to cost him $25,000 to call, and he's going to make the call and hope to get lucky on the flop. He's going to need a 10 or some hearts.
He does get a piece of the flop. Low pair, tray ace 5.
I think Chris Ferguson should have taken a little shot and bet there and found out if his pair of 3s were any good. Now Ted Forrest is bet again, $45,000. And it looks like Chris Ferguson is considering calling. This is what he's been doing for the first 2 matches, checking a small pair and calling when Ted Forrest bets.
Turns an ace of hearts, pairing aces on the board.
Chris checks, but that ace might make him feel it's less likely that Ted Forrest has an ace, and he might call again. Ted Forrest has bet $65,000. He's got a great read on Chris Ferguson. He feels confident Chris Ferguson has a pair of 5s or a pair of 3s. And Chris Ferguson does not believe Ted Forrest again. It looks like he's going to call this $65,000.
The river. An 8 of hearts, and now a full house for Ted.
Chris checks. And now Ted's only dilemma is how much to bet.
155.
He bets $155,000, which, by the way, is exactly half the pot. Chris has to decide, did Ted raise before the flop, come out bluffing on the flop, come out bluffing on the turn, and is now putting in his 4th bet with absolutely nothing? He's called him in the past with hands like this. But not this time.
He folds his hand, so Chris finally decides that Ted Forrest did, in fact, have a hand. Not before it cost him $155,000 in chips. Ted Forrest takes down a big pot in this 3rd and final match at the championship table.
In talking with the pros, you'll hear them all say the same thing. The only way to get better for a heads-up event like this is practice, practice, practice. And now you can sharpen your skills with your Verizon cell phone. You can battle in a single table or tournament format. The game is from Abandon Mobile and NBC Sports, and it's only available on Verizon Wireless. How do you call that on a flush draw?
Back inside the Caesars Palace Poker Room, the best-of-3 final tied at 1 apiece. Chris Ferguson and Ted Forrest vying for the national heads-up title.
Ted Forrest here on the button with a 7-4 offsuit. And he is going to make it 80,000 to go. Not slowing down at all. Chris Ferguson with an ace, deuce of diamonds.
And into his standard deliberation mode.
Wow, he's going to go all in.
Makes a rather large raise of his own.
And Ted Forrest throws his hand away. Chris Ferguson is tired of trying to figure out Ted Forrest. He is in attack mode right now, and I think it's a good strategy.
Well, for most of us, it's hard to figure out how Ted Forrest can read Chris Ferguson so well. Take a look at how he plays 3 different hands and try to spot his tells.
That's not only how he plays poker. When he goes to a restaurant and the waitress asks him soup or salad, he goes into that pose.
Methodical, the same body language for each and every play.
Chris looks like a salad guy to me. What do you think, Matt?
I think Ted's looking at suited king-queen.
Well, he raised before with 7-4 offsuit. Here he raises to 60,000 with a king-queen of diamonds, a really quality hand.
And Chris also suited in diamonds, Jack Trey.
We've seen Chris play a lot of hands like this, and he hasn't gotten lucky with any of them. He's flopped a little something when Ted Forrest has had a little better something. Looks like he's going to call here.
And Chris would have no way of knowing that he doesn't want to make a flush here.
Flush would be the worst possible thing.
2 jacks are all right. Jack 8 ace.
He checks. Ted Forrest has got an inside straight draw. He doesn't even think about making a play there. Just checked.
The turn, trip jacks for Chris Ferguson now. It's good enough to bet out 100,000 and make Ted Forrest fold the hand.
He folded that hand in such a way where he said to Chris Ferguson, I know you have a hand. This is what I'm doing. I'm throwing it away 1, 2, 3, just like that.
Championship final tied 1 match apiece, and now Forrest and Ferguson are about even in the decisive 3rd match. The spectacular lights of the Las Vegas Strip welcome back to Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, home of the National Heads Up Poker Championship. Well, we started with 64 players in the tournament. We're down to 2, the 3rd match in this best-of-3 championship between Chris Ferguson and Ted Forrest.
Chris Ferguson picks up a king-9 on the button and just calls. Ted Forrest with his 6-3 of hearts is going to let it go. Very interesting that they're almost even in chips right now.
And what a flop. 6 king 9, top 2 pair for Ferguson, and a pair and a flush draw for Forrest.
There's going to be fireworks in this hand. These players could go all in with this flop. This could be it. Wow. Ted Forrest bet 40,000 and Chris Ferguson just called.
Still a chance for fireworks. Not on the turn card, however. No help there. Queen of diamonds, a check from Forrest.
That queen of diamonds did not help either player, and Chris Ferguson cannot wait any longer. He's got a bet here.
That's 120,000.
Ted Forrest still has the pair and the flush draw, and a man like Ted Forrest could potentially do anything in this situation. It depends on how he's reading Chris Ferguson, how strong he feels Chris Ferguson is.
He calls, so that pushes the pot up to 400,000 in chips.
Chris Ferguson has got to avoid a heart or a 6, and he will take a nice lead in this match.
River, 6 of clubs. Oh, trip 6s now for Forrest.
And that was sort of the tricky out. I don't know why Ted Forrest is betting here, because if he checked, I believe Chris Ferguson was worried about a heart. He wasn't worried about a 6. So Chris Ferguson would have bet, but he's worried now. He's going to call it 200,000, but he knows something's going on.
He will call and get the bad news. Ted Forrest takes down a big pot to take a commanding lead now with over $1 million in chips in this 3rd and final match.
They missed his flush draw, but hit his 6.
How could this have been different for Chris?
Could have been worse. If Chris Ferguson would have raised on the flop with his top 2 pair, I don't think Ted Forrest is getting away from his pair and flush draw. Chris Ferguson could have gone broke on this hand.
Well, he didn't go broke, but he trails now 4-1. Boy, that 6 on the river really changed the tenor of the match. Blind still at 20 and 40,000.
King 7 offsuit for Ted Forrest.
I'm all in.
Wow,
Whoa.
he's going all in. He's going for the kill. This is not a bad play. He can either pick up the big blind or get in a race.
He's going to have a race because Ferguson has called on Queen Jack.
And right now, Ted Forrest is leading in the race. The King High is a 55% favorite.
Hole cards. Turn them up, gentlemen. Ted shows King 7.